Alright guys, if you've made it this far, I'm proud of you for sticking with it. We're going to work through just a few of these so you can kind of wrap your head around what these look like. If you were pretty successful with the ones up above, 10 through 18, these shouldn't be too bad. The key is that they are sharing a side, right? So let's look at these things. Let's look at one piece at a time. If you look at the 45, 45, 90 triangle at the bottom down here, we have absolutely no information about the sides. We're not given any of the sides, so that's probably a good indicator that that is not a good place to start. So to begin with, I'm just going to sort of ignore the triangle at the bottom down there, and I'm going to work the 30, 60, 90 triangle at the top, just like the ones we were doing up above. So we are given 9. That's the short leg. Okay. I know that if I double 9, I get the hypotenuse. So I have 18 for the hypotenuse. And I know that 9 times the square root of 3 will give me the long leg. Okay. So right here I can write 9 times the square root of 3. Okay. Now, 18, I was asked to find, right, because it says find x, y, and z. 9 square root of 3, they did not ask me to find that, but it's necessary because now I know a side of the 45, 45, 90 triangle at the bottom, right? So I had to do that in order to be able to find these last two sides. Okay, now, if you remember back from a previous video, we said that 9 square root of 3, right? We can think of that as the hypotenuse. Okay, well, the hypotenuse of a 45, 45, 90 is written in the form x square root of 2. Okay, well, I want to solve this thing for x because if I get x by itself in a 45, 45, 90, that represents the leg. So I'm going to start by dividing both sides by the square root of 2. Okay, these cancel. Good news, I have x by itself. But look at this thing. 9 square root of 3 over the square root of 2. Okay, so we said earlier that we do not want a radical in the denominator. Okay, so to get rid of that, I'm going to multiply it by itself because that will undo. When we square a square root, it undoes the radical and I'm left with just 2. But I have to also multiply the top by the same thing. So multiplying by the square root of 2 over square root of 2, which essentially is 1, which is the whole reason that you're able to do that. Because when you multiply something by 1, it doesn't change it. It doesn't change its value. So square root of 2 times the square root of 2, I'm just multiplying the two denominators, will just be 2. In the numerator, I will have 9 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 2. Okay. Now, when we have radicals like this, I can multiply them together just like I normally would multiply 3 times 2. The only difference is it has to stay inside the radical. Okay. So I'm just going to multiply 3 times 2, but since they're both under the radical, it's going to be 6 under the radical. So 9 square root of 6 over 2. Now, that's my answer for one of these legs. Okay, and I just looked up at my computer screen and noticed that that's cut off. So let me roll up a little bit. There you go. Okay, so 9. So when I multiplied these two, I had 2 in the denominator, and then I just multiplied square root of 3 times square root of 2 to get the square root of 6. So this is one of the legs. Well, we know in a 45, 45, 90 that the legs are the same. So both of these are going to be 9 square root of 6 over 2. That's that leg and that leg. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 20. Let's take a look at number 20. So for number 20, now on this one, we're given information about the 45, 45, 90. We were given no information about the 30, 60, 90 as far as the size of the leg. So that's an indicator that here I want to start with the 45, 45, 90. So I have one of the legs is 32. Well, we know that the legs are the same in a 45, 45, 90. So this leg is also 32. This leg happens to be the hypotenuse of the 30, 60, 90, right? We'll get there in a second. Remember that the hypotenuse of a 45, 45, 90 is x times the square root of 2. Okay, so since I found the leg was 32, I know that this is going to be 32 times the square root of 2. Okay, so that's what the hypotenuse of the 45, 45, 90 is. Okay, so now I'm basically done with all that, and I'm looking at just this 30, 60, 90 triangle at the bottom. Okay, so what we have here is the hypotenuse. 32 is the hypotenuse. And we talked earlier about how the short leg is half of the hypotenuse. So if we half 32, it's 16 for the short leg. And then for the long leg, it's the short leg times the square root of 3. So this is going to be 16 times the square root of 3 for the long leg. Okay, so that's that. The rest of these are pretty much the same. It's a series of two triangles, either a 30, 60, 90 with a 45, 45, 90, or some of them are just two 30, 60, 90s, but they're pretty much all work the same way. I'm going to say if you need help, work the rest of these out. If you need help with that, please send an email. Please send me a message through the Remind, or you can leave a message in the comments on the YouTube. I sound like an old man saying that, but I guess I am. But anyway, so that's the first video series of videos for the first lesson, 8.1. Be on the lookout. I'll do another one for 8.2, and I'll be posting it in a day or so. Like and subscribe. I've always wanted to say that. And you can get notifications for when I post new videos. Otherwise, I hope you guys are safe and having a good day, and I will talk to you later. See you.